Before you hand in your notice, before you clear out your desk, and before you post about it on social media, there are 6 questions you need to be able to answer. Not because retirement is complicated, because the cost of getting these wrong in year 1 doesn't show up until year 3 or 4, and by then the window to fix it has already started closing. Hi, I'm Mark Wisniewski, president of Southern Incomes. I work with people who are serious about retirement, not just saving for it, but actually structuring it so when that day comes, it feels like freedom instead of a series of expensive decisions you're still paying for years later. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 6 questions I ask every pre-retiree who sits down with me. Questions that come directly from watching real households with real money make completely avoidable mistakes in the first 2 years of retirement. And if you can answer all 6 of these confidently, you're in better shape than most. If you can't, this video is going to be worth your time. Let's get into it. Question 1, which accounts do you pull from first? Here's something almost nobody thinks about until it costs them. Most people retire, need income, and pull from the most obvious place, their traditional IRA or their 401k. That's the retirement account. That's where the retirement money lives. It feels completely logical. But here's what that decision could do. If you retire mid-year, you've already got months of salary on the books. Now, stack a $150,000 IRA withdrawal on top of that, and you've just created one of the most expensive tax year of your life, potentially worse than any year while you were working full-time. Depending on your filing status, you could be pushing into the 24% bracket or even higher. And here's what makes it really painful. The year you retired was supposed to be your cheapest tax year. No full salary. A perfect window to do low-cost Roth conversions. Move money into tax-free accounts at a lower cost than after RMDs and Social Security begin stacking. That window only comes around once. And one careless withdrawal in January can shut it permanently. Taxable accounts, cash savings, after-tax money, those should almost always be the first dollars out the door in early retirement, not your IRA. Getting this sequence right in year 1, it protects everything that follows. Question 2, what does your final working year look like? This one catches people because they just assume that retirement income planning starts on day 1 of retirement. It does not. It starts a full year before. Think about what actually happens in the year that you retire. If you leave in, say, June, your W-2 still shows 6 months of salary. If you sold a position in your brokerage account to build up cash before leaving, yep, that's a capital gain on your return. If you took a deferred compensation payout, that stacks too. That combination can push your income in a transition year higher than almost any year throughout your entire career. And if you don't know exactly what the picture looks like going in, you can't sequence the next 2 or 3 years of withdrawals intelligently. You're flying blind into the most important tax window of your retirement. Understanding your final working year down to the dollar is what makes everything after it work. Question 3, how will you bridge healthcare before Medicare? Here's the healthcare reality that catches more early retirees off guard than almost anything else. ACA subsidy rules can change over time, and eligibility is based on household income and other factors. But the core issue is always the same. Your projected income in early retirement determines whether you qualify for premium assistance and by how much. If you've pulled a large IRA distribution in year one, you may have already disqualified yourself without even realizing it. And if you received advanced subsidies based on an income estimate that turned out to be too low, you may have to repay some or even all of those credits right at tax time, depending on the rules in effect and your final household income. That's a tax bill arriving at the exact moment your cash flow is adjusting to life without a paycheck. COBRA isn't always wrong. If you have specific doctors, medications, or ongoing treatments tied to your employer plan, the continuity has real value and it may be worth every dollar. But COBRA is a default, meaning nobody sat down and ran the comparison before you signed that paperwork. That can drain tens of thousands of dollars from cash reserves that really were supposed to last years. The question isn't COBRA or ACA. The question is, did you run the numbers before you chose? Question 4, are you maximizing the Roth conversion window? If you're in your mid to late 50s and you just retired with most of your money in traditional accounts, I want you to understand something clearly. You may be sitting in the most favorable tax environment you'll ever see for the rest of your life. No salary, no RMDs, those required minimum distributions. Social Security hasn't started. That combination creates a window bracket space to move money from traditional to Roth at lower rates than you're going to face once RMDs and Social Security begin, before everything else starts stacking. A married couple with little or no taxable income may be able to convert substantial amounts each year while remaining in low tax brackets. Those same dollars left in traditional accounts until RMDs begin, they're going to come out at whatever rate the government forces, stacked on top of Social Security, on top of Medicare surcharge calculations, with no say in how much comes out or when. The window is roughly the years between when you stop working and when Social Security and RMDs begin. For many early retirees, that's close to a decade of opportunity. Every year that passes unused, those dollars keep compounding inside traditional accounts, growing the tax obligation right alongside the balance. I've sat across from couples who let 3 or even 4 years of that window go empty because, well, let's face it, they wanted a break from financial decisions after a long career. That's human. It's understandable. But it has a specific price tag. And once that window closes, no going back. Question 5, what is your future tax obligation? Here's an exercise I want you to actually do after watching this. Take your current traditional IRA and 401k balance. And what I want you to do is project it forward at a reasonable growth rate. Find out what it looks like at the age when the IRS requires you to start taking money out. Age 73 for most people, age 75 if you were born in 1960 or later. Then calculate the required distribution on that balance. On a $2 million account, that first forced withdrawal distribution is roughly $75,000. Now add Social Security on top of that, and many households are looking at $130,000 to $150,000 in combined taxable income, whether they want to spend that much or not. That pushes you into higher brackets. More of your Social Security becomes taxable. Medicare surcharges kick in. But here's the part that should change how you think about traditional accounts right now. Every dollar sitting in that account is not just a balance. It's a growing tax obligation. The growth is real, and so is the government's cut of every dollar of that growth when it eventually comes out. Running this projection, seeing that specific future number, converts a vague future concern into something concrete enough to motivate real decisions today. Most people who run it for the first time are surprised. And I'd say almost none of them ever tell me that they wish they had waited longer to see it. Question 6, have you modeled the single filer scenario? One spouse in every married couple will spend some portion of their retirement filing as a single person. That's not a risk, it's a mathematical certainty. The question is whether your plan accounts for what that looks like financially. Here's what the numbers do. Right now, as a married couple filing jointly, you have access to wider tax brackets, shared deductions, and oh, by the way, 2 Social Security checks. Then one spouse passes. The surviving spouse shifts to single filer status. The brackets compress dramatically. The same income that sat comfortably at the 22% bracket as a couple can push to 32 or even 35% brackets for a single filer. And that traditional IRA balance doesn't shrink. It doesn't get split. It lands on the surviving spouse's return, the full balance, the full RMDs into that compressed single filer bracket, potentially for decades. This is a scenario that can take a plan that looked solid and really turn it into something that steadily drains the surviving spouse's options year after year. The earlier you model it, the more runway you have to reduce the traditional balance through conversions, while both spouses are still alive and filing jointly. Waiting until the scenario becomes someone's reality means the planning window is already gone. The big picture, 6 questions. Most pre-retirees can't answer all of them, not because they're not smart, but because nobody walked them through it before the decisions were already made. The households that get early retirement right are not the ones with the biggest balances. They are the ones who understood structure before they needed it, when there was still time, still options, still time to move things around. Every one of these questions has a specific answer for your situation. And getting those answers before you retire is worth more than anything else you can do in your final years of your career. If you want to sit down and work through all 6 of these with your actual numbers, your accounts, your income, your timeline, book a call with me using the link in the description. That's exactly what this conversation is for. And if this video was useful, hit like and subscribe. I put content out every week specifically for people who are serious about getting retirement right. And there's a lot more where this came from.